Hello. Your clients are the experts in their lives. However, you are the expert of the process of coaching. And our clients look to us to create the structure and the flow of the coaching process. Part of that vital flow, process, and structure are maintaining boundaries. In this live episode of the Star Coach Show, we're going to be talking about what is imperative about creating structure and boundaries. What does that do to the balance of the coaching partnership? And how does that influence trust and safety? Hi, I'm Meg Rentschler for the Star Coach Show. I am delighted to be here with you in our live taping of the show. Once a month, I do a solo show. I go live on the Thursday before it goes out on the following Wednesday. So the third Thursday of every month at 1 p.m. Central Time, join me on our YouTube channel, Star Coach Show at YouTube, to participate and get a sneak early peek of the show. If you're enjoying what we're doing at the Star Coach Show, take just a minute to subscribe on the YouTube channel or wherever you're listening to the show so that you never miss a minute of the content that we're offering to help you flourish as a coach and empower others as a leader. This is what we do here at the Star Coach Show. So today I really wanted to talk about balance and boundaries. I believe that everything we do requires some kind of balance. We've got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That's just sort of true life in general. If we can find a good balance into the things that we do, it tends to be a better flow. It tends to be more effective, less extreme. Let's get out of the one or the other, what lies in the gray, and often that is balance. Well, when that comes to the concept of boundaries, our clients are looking to us to better understand what is the process of coaching, what is the relationship that we're going to be having. And while we can be friendly with our clients and we can like our clients and enjoy the time we spend, and hopefully they enjoy the time they spend in coaching, coaching is a professional relationship. It is a time to do work to help our clients reach the goals that they aspire to get the barriers out of the way. And therefore, the professional aspect of the relationship is important because I've learned this both through my many years of being a therapist and my many years of being a coach. In a friend relationship, there is a little more taking care of one another's feelings, taking care of one another's needs. I don't want my coaching clients to feel at all responsible for taking care of the needs of their coach. The time is their time. So there are some specific things that we can do around our effectiveness as a professional. And part of that is maintaining those boundaries. What that does is it helps us keep a focus on our clients' coaching objectives and outcomes. It helps ensure that there is a clarity of the roles and responsibilities that each of us are playing in this partnership. It really preserves the coach's emotional energy as well and the mental energy. We know the role that we play in this relationship, and it helps give our clients trust and safety that they know that we are their coach, that we are invested in them making the decisions towards their self-directed, self-determined change. So we're very clear about what those roles look like. And what that ultimately does is it protects the integrity of the relationship that we are engaging in with our clients. Now, key element in the importance of these boundaries is let's shift the focus a little bit. Let's look at what does that do for our clients? What that does is help our clients fully engage in their growth and autonomy in the relationship. It empowers them to develop their own solutions. Us maintaining our role as coach and that boundary creates the balance of believing in our clients' full resourcefulness, creativeness, and ability to step into that process. It maintains that we are staying in the role of coach, unlike maybe when we're talking with a friend and we might, slip into advisor, or our friends might ask us to do that. Now, I'm not maintaining that our clients never ask us to step into the role of advisor or mentor. That certainly happens. But when we're clear, and we're going to talk about some of the ways that we get clear, and a key element of this is having a clear coaching agreement, that overarching coaching agreement that helps us get clear about my role as the coach, the client's role, expectations. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But let's go back to the benefits that having clear balance and boundary brings to the client's growth and autonomy. So it empowers them to develop their own solutions. It also prevents them from being overly dependent upon us as the coach. We don't want to create a codependent relationship. We want our clients to fully step into their power and their ability to work with us to create the kinds of solutions that make a difference for them. It also encourages the client's self-reliance. Remember, let's go back to that definition of coaching in creating and facilitating self-directed, self-determined change. So that independent decision making, working with my support and challenge as a coach to help create the kind of thinking and exploring and creative solutioning from the client. The other thing that healthy boundaries and relationships do is creates a balance in how am I modeling healthy professional relationship dynamics. Many of my clients are coaches who are building their skill set and expanding and leveraging themselves as coaches, but also many of my clients are leaders who are role modeling the same relationship that I have with them, with their teams. So when I'm able to maintain my boundary, that models a healthy relationship for my clients who can then take that forward into their relationships. So there are so many benefits in this professional effectiveness and our clients' growth and autonomy that makes these boundaries just essential to maintain. So let's talk a little bit about what kinds of boundaries do we set and maintain, and where do we do that? We want to have a very clear, overarching agreement for our coaching engagements. This is covered in coaching agreements, which is a core competency through the International Coaching Federation. And it maintains things like, what's the time and availability that I'm going to have for my clients? How am I maintaining and setting up sort of the structure, the logistics of the coaching engagement? How is my client going to schedule with me? How often are we going to see one another? How long are we going to see one another? And then honoring that. So if I tell my client that we're going to see each other twice a month for 45 minutes, how am I maintaining the boundary as the coach and the structure of that 45-minute session? Am I checking in about halfway through to see where the client's at, what the client needs or thinks they need for the rest of the session? Like, how are we partnering in the structure of that? Or am I just assuming, yeah, we said it was going to be a 45-minute session, but if it extends into 60, that's just, a gift that I'm giving to the client. Well, is that really honoring the client's time? If the client has given me 45 minutes, now I get that occasionally something will come up. I might need to check in with the client. Are you okay if we extend for a few more minutes so that we really give you the time that you need for this particular issue? But if that becomes a practice rather than an occasion, that's not me maintaining boundaries and honoring what I said the relationship was going to look like. If I say that we're going to meet for 45 minutes, that's what the client is counting on, then that is a time and availability boundary that I need to maintain with my clients. Now, part of that is looking at, how am I setting it up and structuring it in my agreement? It's checking in with the client to see, how is this structure working for you? Now, that doesn't mean if I say I'm going to work with you for two 45-minute sessions a month, that and each of you is going to sort of set the structure up yourself. But to me, the boundaries of that are, I also let them know, and this works really well for me, so test it out for yourself. I might say, I am available for you for quick touch bases between sessions in those emergency situations, or when something arises that waiting till the next 2 weeks just doesn't make sense. And then create the boundary around that. Let them know. That means, send me an email. Let me know you're needing a time, or send me a text. We will set up a time for 5 to 10 minutes to cover what you need. So once again, it's a clear boundary, but it is realizing that my clients are human beings and things are going to come up for them. So once again, how are you setting up that time and availability, often through your overarching agreement, to help your client feel safe? This is the other thing about, sometimes I hear coaches say, well, I don't want it to be too structured. I don't want my client to feel like, that they're in a straitjacket or whatever. In my experience, creating clear balance and boundaries helps our client feel safe and that they trust the relationship. Because once again, I'm going to go back to the fact that you are the expert in the coaching process. Your client is the expert in their life. So when you're able to be as clear as possible about the logistics, and you maintain those, and about the roles that we're playing. So in my overarching agreement, in my client agreement, it says, here's what you can expect from me as the coach, and here's the role you play as the client. The clearer we can get about those distinctions of each of our roles, also the distinctions of the different kinds of helping conversations that there are. How clear are you in the boundaries of, are you needing a consultant, or are you needing a coach? Are you needing a coach, or are you needing a therapist? Being able to explore those things with our clients helps them understand the process of coaching and be able to settle into that well. Be very clear about the scope of your coaching services and the boundary. And this was something that therapy is very, very clear about, the distinction between friendship and and the professional relationship. And And I believe that coaching can also be clear about that. I just think that there's a little more wiggle room there. So I would just encourage you to be really clear, because when people wiggle that line, it's harder to maintain the boundaries about clear expectations. This is time to coach. I'm your coach. And when we are going to spend the next 45 minutes in coaching, I'm really going to kind of be helping to guide you toward what you want to gain from this session. So if I've got a client who might have issues with boundaries and I'm wiggly about that, then me helping to keep them focused on the thing when they might think, well, aren't you just my buddy? Can't we just talk about this? That could create confusion or even hurt feelings. So we want to be able to be very transparent about what the coaching relationship is, be very clear in our agreements, and then honor those. Um, you know, it's my belief that when we are in that coaching relationship, we don't veer into that doesn't mean we can't ever have lunch with our client. We sometimes I've even had lunch meetings with my clients, or because that just has worked best with them. But in general, our clients have friends, and then they have a coach, and it is being able to have that professional objectiveness, being able to pay attention to what's going on within you as well. So one of the other key things about balance and boundaries is those emotional boundaries that we keep. Our clients might really like us as coaches, and yet through my 30 plus years of experience, I will tell you that it is key to maintain a professionalism in a little bit of that, avoiding those dual relationships. Think about the last time you offered to coach a friend, and whether you were able to stay as emotionally objective coaching a friend or a family member as when you're coaching a client. Being able to set those boundaries and set those limits so that we're not sliding back and forth between friend and coach is beneficial to your clients and beneficial to your emotional well-being as a coach. We want to be appropriately empathetic, but not overly involved, where we take on the weight of that experience that our client is going through. So the reason I say that is not so that you're not engaged, or yeah, my heart hurts for my clients at times. I am I want to be fully walking side by side with them. And at the same time, if I get pulled into the weeds that they're in, or completely pulled into their circumstance, I'm not able to be the partner that they need me to be in that moment. So once again, finding that balance between, yes, we want to be empathetic, and yes, we want to be able to see through the client's lens, but that doesn't mean that we jump right into that lens with them and overly embroil ourselves in their situation, because then we're not being the partner that they need us to be with the outside eyes and the outside ears. So let's talk about some strategies to really maintain our boundaries, maintain that balance, and be the best partner we can be for our clients. First of all, to me, it again and again goes back to clear communication. How are we clearly communicating those boundaries, those expectations with if you're working with organizations, with the sponsor organization, the client, key stakeholders, how are we explicitly exploring and describing what the clients can expect so that they don't have this fuzzy um, lack of clarity that actually creates a less safe feeling. How do we have a regular review of are things working or not? One of my favorite episodes is episode number 1 of the Star Coach Show with Cynthia Lloyd Darst, where she talks about sometimes we have to review our agreement. Sometimes we have to reinforce the boundaries or set the structure back up if, in fact, things have slid away, that maybe we've fallen into patterns that don't serve our clients as well as they could. And so maybe the client's behaviors has fallen into patterns. Maybe we as the coach have fallen. Maybe we've gotten, as Teresa Poole puts, sitting on the couch of coaching and not keeping our saw sharp. So how are we reviewing and reinforcing the agreement, the boundaries, the expectations so that our clients feel safe to be able to move towards those goals, and we're being the best partner we can be in that? How are we potentially addressing if boundaries are being violated, or if we feel like the client is slipping into a situation that is not helpful for them? I clearly remember as a therapist, I had a client who just was very much wanting to be friends. And I would share with her that that wasn't the healthy relationship, that I was her therapist, but this would rely to, also for those of you who are coaches, that I was her therapist, and it was neither appropriate nor good for her for us to be friends. We were friendly, that was an appropriate kind of relationship, but that she would maybe look at how can we help you create those kinds of relationships in your life, but that's not the role that I am playing in your life. And sometimes she would get very she would overstep and call me in crisis too often, and really become overly dependent. So it was my role as the therapist to create clear boundaries and to help her create other support systems in her life and call out when things are being were being abused. And so as the coach, how do we do that? We might bring attention to that. There's been a pattern that I'm seeing that's being established, and let's address that. Let's talk about how your needs are being met and how to help you create the kinds of systems and support resources in your life that are most helpful for you. So let's create some transparency and some clarity around expectations. Now, another way that the strategies to maintain those boundaries, and this fits right under, establishes a coaching mindset and our own development as a coach, is to do exactly that. What are we doing for our own professional development? How are we, maybe getting coaching supervision or peer support? How are we exploring different ways to maintain boundaries? When we are having difficulties with a client, what are we doing to bring that question forward? Who in our life are we, do we have a mentor? Do we have someone that we're working with? Do we work with, groups of professional coaches through an ICF chapter, or, communities of practice through the ICF? How are we keeping our ethical saw sharp? And if we are a credentialed coach, we know that at least 3 hours of our professional development needs to be in ethics. Is that enough? Are we feeling like we're really expanding that and understanding what our professional ethics are? And then, in addition to clear communication and our own professional development, another strategy in maintaining those boundaries is our own self-care practices. How are we maintaining what our energy level is? What are we paying attention to? What might we need to do in the way of um, scheduling some more time into the day to rest or refuel? Interestingly, I just was in the Star Coach community this morning. We had Jezebel DC, who has done a fabulous Star Coach episode. She was our guest in the community today. We were talking about keeping our calendars, so that it keeps us healthy, keeps us working for our clients. She was giving great tips. It was awesome. But one of the things that was stressed was, are we building those times in of the day to keep up our energy, our strength, our focus? Because it's when we are exhausted, it's when we're not taking care of ourselves, that balance is going to go out of balance, and more likely that our boundaries are going to slip. So what do we need to do to take care of ourselves so that we can be in the place of a great partner for our clients with appropriate boundaries? Finally, as we are wrapping up our time together today, I just want to think about a couple actions that we can take if boundary issues do arise. First of all, it always starts with prevention. Yeah, we can go to the doctor and get an antibiotic after we get sick, but what can we do to potentially prevent? I'm going to go back to, because I don't think we can ever say this enough. The clear contracting at the very beginning is that stitch in time saves nine kind of thing. That is when I get panicked calls from coaches who are in a situation with their clients that they're just not sure what to do. It tends to go back to the initial contracting was not clear enough. So really pay attention to, how are you setting things up at the beginning? How are you maintaining that if something starts to come up, if your red flags start to go off in your head, how are you addressing those at that moment with your clients rather than letting it go on? Let's imagine that you are working in an organization and you've set the boundary at the beginning that communication about your client is going to flow in three-way meetings with your client, the leader, and you, that you will share certain things with the leader that the client has agreed to, things like maybe whether they're attending, how engaged they are, whether we're staying in alignment with those overall goals that we discussed. But the leader starts to kind of reach out and break in, and you're feeling, well, it is sort of violating what you said. How are you nipping that in the bud? Versus, well, I'm new to the organization and maybe I'll just this one time sort of step over the boundary a little bit. Well, those slippery slopes are hard to recover from. So how can you really maintain those regular boundary, maintain that boundary each time? And when it doesn't happen, just have a conversation about it. Have a conversation in a very adult to adult, I'm okay, you're okay, but just, I just want to remind you of the conversation that we had and the boundaries that we set up and the balance that we're having. How can we meet your need and maintain the boundary that we set up and the confidentiality and respect that we have for the client? When we One way to address potential issues as well is we might need to get back to the drawing board with people. If in fact we're having difficulty with a client maintaining a boundary, or maybe we feel like we've slipped off where we need to be, or an organization, wherever that is, we might need to renegotiate our agreements. We might need to, if it's not working for people, if the organization is feeling like they need something different than was originally set up, We need to go back and renegotiate with everybody who is in that situation, not just renegotiate with the organization and leave the client out of that. Excuse me. Another thing that we might need to do if we are kind of trying to take an action, to get things back on track is we might need a consult with somebody that can help us figure out the best way to move forward. Don't forget that part of being a professional is that you have a resource, or you have your own support network that, whether you hire a mentor for an hour or a supervisor, connect with somebody that mentors you, that you getting a consult when you're stuck is super important as well. So as we begin to wrap up our conversation about the importance of balance and boundaries to help our clients build trust and safety, to be the best coach partner we can be, I just want to reinforce that for your own professional success, keeping boundaries is key. It helps you keep a sustainable practice. It helps enhance your reputation. When we do what we say we're going to do, when we honor the structure that we have set, it helps our clients trust us. It helps organizations trust us. It helps keep our clients. Client retention is huge. It is easier to maintain clients than to always get new clients. But part of that is, how are you setting up that professional relationship that can certainly be friendly and engaged, but that it is a professional relationship? It increases professional satisfaction. Remember, I talked about when we let those lines get wiggly, it can also hurt feelings and put people off. So remember that your reputation and professional satisfaction is very much tied into how you are maintaining boundaries. It'll help you maintain longevity in your emotional, mental, and professional well-being. So those are incredible benefits for you as the coach. For our clients' outcomes, when we establish and maintain balance and boundaries, it creates trust and safety with our clients. It helps our clients increasingly rely on their own wisdom, their own creativity, their own wholeness. And that's really what coaching is all about. We get better coaching results. The clients are very clear about expectations. So once again, can't say it enough. When I've got clear when I know what my role is as the client and I know what my coach is going to do, that creates additional trust and safety for me. And I'm more committed to the process. I'm more committed to myself and what I'm able to bring to the program, which is ultimately going to enhance my personal growth and what I get out of the coaching process. So as we think about how you want to be as a coach, and I got to say, these very same things that we just talked about apply to all of you who are leaders and coaching in your as part of your leadership style. I hope this was helpful. Would love to hear what resonated with you the most. Be sure, if you're watching on YouTube, to leave a comment below. What struck you in this concept of balance and boundaries? Remember that each week At the Star Coach Show, we focus on strategies, tools, and resources to help you be the best coach you can be, the best leader you can be in offering this empowerment to your employees. And I truly believe that we are all here on this earth together for a reason. So let's be kind to one another. Let's listen more deeply with more curiosity and do the heavy lifting together. Until next week, this is Meg Rentschler wishing you the very best for your success. Take a moment and subscribe wherever you're listening because I would love for you to follow the Star Coach Show. You take care. We'll see you next week.